Well, I grew up in Pennsylvania, and you know, we had I wouldn't say unlimited selection of beer, but we had a lot of German-influenced breweries up there, and had a lot more selection. And when I moved down here, I was disheartened to see that, you know, you could get Sam Adams, and that was about it. As almost a gag, my mother got me a homebrew kit, and it was in 1990, the Christmas of 1995. Little bitty pamphlet in there, taught you about how to brew beer. I mean, real simple beer. I mean, just extract, you know, the easiest, mix it up with hot water and dry yeast. And for that moment, I've read that book probably 50 times in about a week, just read it cover to cover. Brewed my first beer between Christmas and New Year's in '95, and it was awful. But after that, you know, I started to learn. I got another book, an in-depth book, and started to, you know, learn and practice. And after about 6 months, I was making some pretty good beer. I think my very first good beer, the beer when I realized I could make beer that I wasn't going to drink 2 or 3 of them and dump the rest of it down the sink, was a brown ale. Called it Ye Old Mellow Brown Ale. The first beer I ever had? Well, I stole my dad's Genesee Cream Ale out of the basement. I never wanted to open a brewery until about 7 years ago, when I woke up one day and was on my way to work, and I just got done brewing a batch of beer. I was working in the afternoons at that point in time, and I thought to myself, I really don't feel like going to work today. All I want to do is brew. Our first 2 beers were our Yellowhammer White and Yellowhammer IPA, and the White is now our biggest selling beer, and it's a Belgian wheat beer that's made with lime leaves and ginger. We wanted to have something that was, you know, going to match the climate of the South. A little bit of spice, and the lime leaves are somewhat refreshing. They went together really well, and the beer turned out excellent. I brewed it for about a year before, you know, practicing it before we brewed it the first batch down here. With Belgian-style beers, I like the fact that there's so much creativity. I mean, people always think, oh, the Belgian style, triple Belgian style, double. But really, the Belgians don't think about it that way. They don't think about this beer as a style. I mean, they brew whatever they want. People say that brewing is an art, and there is some art in that. From a guy who went to art school, brewing is really a craft. It's not really an art form so much. You know, designing labels, which I also design our labels. I was a graphic designer before I started Yellowhammer. Designing labels is an art. Brewing is a craft, and a craft is something that you hone and fine-tune. I like the challenge of making it consistent, and you know, even though you're brewing the same beer every day, there's different challenges every day, and I like, you know, it goes as simple as I just like the smell of the malt and caring for the beer once the yeast has been pitched, and watching the bottling line, you know, fill bottles worth of beer, and then probably the biggest thing is getting the compliments and from people who enjoy the beer, and watching people, you know, happy whenever they get to have a pint of something that I'm really proud of, and that's probably the very biggest part of it all.